imagine how excited I am to be here. I just finished my master's in University of Victoria, just defended in August, and so this is kind of a push from Walter a little bit to the real world of, preparing something for a meeting such as this. I came to the Baroque just last October with one of my profs is the person in charge of the technologies third of the Hispanic Baroque project, and she just took some of us grad students to London to the plenary of the project, and I got totally excited right away. I already loved Sor Juana and all that, and other things with the Baroque. Anyway, so I changed slightly the title of my topic. First, here you have the word stands up, a taste of Sarduys theories on stage. I realized that the word, I crossed out word and I put the signifier stands up. So who declared Sarduy dead? Wake you up a little bit. The Cuban writer, poet, playwright, critic, and theorist of the Baroque may have died in Paris in 1993. But according to a professional theater group based at the University of Havana School of Fine Arts, he's alive and well and living in Cuba, so to speak, and speaking indeed. Exiled two-thirds of his life, Sarduys' neo-Baroque works inspired the theater company El Ciervo Encantado, the Enchanted Deer, over 15 years ago, and the troupe has toiled ever since to bring him out of the dark and into the hearts of his fellow Cubans. This doesn't mean that the actors have put on his plays. They have not. But they have striven literally to embody his theoretical and fiction work, just as Sarduy himself, from the other end of the Atlantic Ocean, created from Cuba and Cubanness a body of work which is both his work and his body. Besides the fact that Sarduys' work is all artifice, it's bizarre, confusing, dissonant, grotesque, that is, as shocking as the Baroque behavior was viewed in the 17th century, the French writer and critic Philippe Soler, his definition of it captures its pertinence for this conference and this time. He saw it as the fate of the Spanish language. With the foundations of its linguistic past, the Baroque, its transfer to the American continent, and back again, its confrontation with the most rigorous side of the European avant-garde. To the same extent that the material and symbolic flow of the historical Baroque moved to and fro from America to Europe. Sarduy is undoubtedly a difficult writer, but we must remember that his mentor, the esoteric and intuitive José Lezama Lima, began his monumental work, La Expresión Americana, with the words, "Only the difficult is stimulating." Indeed, Sarduys' semiotic and cosmologically based Baroquism is as difficult as it is stimulating. This paper will attempt to show the equally complex and thought-provoking work of El Ciervo Encantado, and the thorny task of bringing a posthumous Sarduy back from intellectual exile and reintroducing him to his island of birth, a particularly problematic undertaking given the island nation's political regime of ostracizing deviation and difference. The hegemony of the signifier in Sarduys' work revealed for Roland Barthes the Baroque face of the French tongue, a pleasure for language repressed by the classical moralistic Cartesian tradition. Barthes also recognized that Sarduys' second novel, From Cuba with a Song, or De Donde Son los Cantantes, was a brilliant text, agile, funny, inventive, surprising, yet cultural and affectionate. However, he admitted that in order for that text to be well received, it would need to hint at pangs of conscience, insinuate some shadow of the guilt that would turn it into useful merchandise. For Sarduy, however, writing was a revolutionary act. And as such, the also guiltless work of Teatro Ciervo, as I will also call them, in post-revolutionary Cuba is highly subversive. As our historian Robert Harbison perceived in our neo-Baroque times, quote, much of culture smacks of theater. Rules of taste are impossible to enforce and forms have gone haywire in the various arts, but from lack of conviction rather than revolutionary enthusiasm, end of quote. And Sarduys' neo-Baroque Cuba is cheap and trashy, a metaphor for the world the gods have forsaken. The reality there today is one, as it has been called, the reality there today is one of capitulation and loss of hope, for its socialist system seems to have exhausted itself. Indeed, Teatro Ciervo's ritual performance of Sarduys' theories signifies today's Cuban version of the return of the Baroque we are experiencing today, a discontinuity in time and space for which Sarduy coined the word retombé, a concept I will deal with later. To illustrate my point, I will mention a fine paper written 2 years ago by Gloria Maite Hernandez, a PhD candidate in Emory University, Georgia, on Teatro Ciervo's embodiment on stage of Sarduys' last novel, Pájaros de la Playa. Some translate it as beach fowl or beach birds. I like beach fowl, actually, much better. Which was published posthumously in 1993 and deals with dying with AIDS, right? Sickness, death, anxiety. Maite's argument is a highly attractive one. As an analytical reader and spectator, she finds that the troupe's dramatization of Sarduys' concepts constitutes such an aesthetic consummation of his oeuvre that it gives the impression that Sarduys' works actually foreshadowed the theatrical universe of the troupe. And this not in terms of creative paternity, but as an aesthetic transhistorical correlation in its own right. They actually have him as a mentor, as a little bit of a guru. I remember I was there in the late 90s and they were rehearsing and they had this little altar on the side with a high-heeled shoe, really wild woman shoe, and some palm fronds, and then this picture of Sarduy inspiring them. Founded as a result of extensive post-secondary pedagogic work, El Ciervo Encantado exists as a permanent laboratory based on a profound investigation of 20th century drama theater. In her research, Sarduys